Welcome back to the Scottish only save. It's part 3 today, and we're taking Berwick Rangers, who are a team from an English town that play their football in the Scottish leagues, but we put them back in the English leagues and we're only allowed to sign Scottish players. We started in non-league and we're well on our way to the very top. This series isn't going to end until I win something with these Scottish lads. But it's proven to be near impossible, and I'm going to explain why that is the case in today's video. Come on. Welcome back to the Berwick journey then, where we have taken Berwick Rangers from the National League North, which was this season here, season number 1. We won that league first season. Then we spent ages trying to get promoted from the National League till we eventually won it. And then finally, 10 seasons in, at the end of season 10, we finished 15th in the Championship. That means that the road ahead is still pretty long, isn't it? I said that I was going to win the Premier League or the Champions League at the end of this save, and I think I've made those promises when I thought that this save was going to be easier than it is. But I'm going to stick to it. If this means that there's going to be another 3 episodes of this, which is becoming a series, there'll be another 3 episodes of this, which is becoming a series. And I make no apologies because I've made a promise and we are going to get there. This is the current state of affairs then. We are a Championship team. We are solidly a Championship team. 2 seasons there, 14th and 15th. We need to start making progress up the league now, don't we? We need to try and threaten those playoff places to try and get ourselves into the Prem. We are predicted to finish bottom. We've got a little bit of money in the bank now. We've got £6 million there or thereabouts as our overall balance. So that has definitely improved. We have the new stadium, which we're going to move into at the end of this season. I have chosen a name. Thank you to all of the comments who mentioned Braveheart. And you know what? I had to agree with you. We are moving into the 14,000 capacity Braveheart Arena at the end of this season. The 27th of June, 2034. And we will be in our new home, and we'll find out what that looks like at that point. But before that, this year we are looking to try and build and turn Berwick into a Premier League threatening team. That's what I'm going to call us. And to do that, of course, I've started by doing some transfers. Before we look at the transfers, a very quick one today. Please subscribe to the channel. That'd be lovely. Thank you very much. Okay, so I've spent £275,000, which is a little less than last year. We spent 1.6 million last year and then 325 before that as well. So actually, it's our lowest spending season in a while now, in at least 3 seasons. And we did bring in 135k in sales as well. Those signings, though, I think are going to improve us. Actually, 1 or 2 of them I think are definitely going to improve us. I'm very happy to say that Adam Farquhar, the goalkeeper, has now signed permanently after his loan last year. Did well last... I said did well. It's conceded 95 goals, but I felt like he's quite good. He's done very well in his 1 game so far this season, which I'll show you the result of that in a second. He comes in for 78k. I have loaned Connor Strong, who is a centre-back, who has 11th strength. So he's not really living up to his name there, but he's going to provide us with a bit of cover, maybe even be a starter, to be honest. I'll show you the squad. We'll go through the tactics screen before we continue. Next up, very happy with this one. Emilio Lawrence on a free. Look at this guy's value. About £9 million he's worth. Signed on a free. He is a former Scottish international. I am assuming that he's not in Julian Lopetegui's team at the moment, is he? No, he's not. Although there is one player in the Scotland team that is a Berwick Rangers player, and that is Kyle Whelan. Now, Kyle Whelan is a new signing this summer. We'll skip ahead to him. He is where we spent our money. £165,000 spent on Kyle Whelan from Ipswich. He is an attacking player. We'll probably use him as a striker. We don't really play anyone in this number 10 position here, do we? But, I mean, we have changed to it a little bit with... It was the guy who left, Dennis Herbert, was sometimes playing here. But I think we'll probably use him just as a striker. I think he can definitely do a job there. He's not the quickest, 11 pace and acceleration, but really good finishing, good flair, good technique. He actually would make a really good number 10, wouldn't he? His passing is, yeah, he's got really good passing as well. Vision's rubbish, though, so maybe he's better as a striker. I've convinced myself. We're back to him being a striker. But he is a Scottish international. He's had 1 cap, and he is in the squad at the moment, which is quite fun for us, isn't it? And then 2 other signings. Now, this was me trying to be tactical. I think I talked about it in the last video. I was trying to sign some high-profile players who are maybe a little bit past it. Shay Adams, who's 37, but his reputation's quite high, and I was wondering if I signed some high-rep players on a free, if it would allow me to sign some better players because our reputation would in turn go up. I'm not sure it really works, but maybe it did. Same story with Jacob Brown, who's also old. He's 35, although he actually looks like he could still do a job for us. Another one who signed on a free, £2,400. Couple of sales. Dennis Herbert did go on a free eventually, and Jack Doherty for rising to 180k. He was useful for us, but I I think that's actually a pretty decent sale, to be honest, to get a bit of money for him. That's our business, and it means that our squad looks a little bit like this. We're going to have Lord Farquaad in goal, Robertson, Kerr Smith, Connor Strong, Aidan McGinley playing as a left-back. He's kind of a winger, but I actually really like him as a left-back here. He's got okay tackling look. Maybe the work rate and teamwork up a little bit, but he's got good pace. I quite like him as our left-back. We're going to have Scott Hughes in the midfield with Bailey Rice. Joe Bevan continues, of course, the legend. Lawrence comes in on the left, and then maybe Burns and Whelan as the strikers, although I'm sure that at some point Henderson will come back in and rotate with a few of them. But to begin with, we've got really good striking options. These four, Burns, Henderson, Pirri and Whelan, are really good, as well as maybe even Jacob Brown could come in and do a job in there too. I think he'd fit in quite nicely too. So we've got good attacking options. We've still got Christy Montgomery, the legend that is Christy Montgomery, with his 350 games for us. Come in and cover in midfield too. He's our captain. I don't know how I feel. I don't think our team's good enough to pull up any trees, hence why we are predicted to finish 24th with odds of 250 to 1. However, we're going to try, and we got off to a pretty good start by winning our very first game 5-0. We beat Sheffield United 5-0, and we know that Sheffield United have been in the Premier League not all that long ago. I don't know if they've been back there in this save or not, but set pieces are working. There's a lovely header from Kerr Smith there. Robertson down the right-hand side with Whelan. Robertson's assist for... It was Aidan McGinley who smashes it in at the back post there. That's why you play a winger as a left-back, look. Lawrence involved in this one. Scott Hughes into Bevan. Look at Joe Bevan. What a man. What a man on his right foot this time as well. He is going to score Premier League goals for us. It is my vow. It is my promise. I need to stop making these really ridiculous promises, but he's going to score Premier League goals for us. Then was that the fifth there from Whelan, or was that the fourth? That was just the fourth. That was all in the first half as well. Second half, we made it 5. Whelan down the left, and then own goal off Alesse in the middle there. Just wanted to show you that because I know that the way that I record these and play these, I like play, and then record. The way that I do this, it's hard to do lots of live comms because also they take quite a long time. And if I'm doing 5 seasons at a time, I do want to show you some match action as much as possible. So you guys who are like crying out for it, I do understand. It's just sort of I also want there to be more sort of a necessary evil in the way that we do these things to make these saves work. So just bear that in mind. That though is our beginning. We're going to go to January now. We're going to find out if we can mix it in the championship. Can we push towards top half? Maybe sneak into a playoffs? That would be a lovely, lovely season, wouldn't it? But before we do go to there, a quick word about the sponsor of today's video. How fun! And today's video is brought to you by FlexiSpot. FlexiSpot offer a range of amazing standing desks, perfect for your home office. I've just upgraded mine to the E7L, which is an L-shaped corner desk to fully make the most of my new office in my new house. It gives me a bit of extra room for all of my streaming and video making bits and pieces. I don't need to worry about the weight either, as this frame can hold up to £330. The best part though is the standing desk functionality, which means at the press of a button on the keypad, I can go to standing mode, so when I'm playing through saves like today's, I don't have to be sat in my chair for the entire day. Genuinely, for me, the best desks in the business. It's perfect for working from home, or even if you just want to take your Football Manager playing or viewing to new levels. Please do be sure to check them out. I've included the links and all of the relevant information in the description of today's video. That includes the website, which is flexispot.co.uk. A big pleasure to work with these guys once again. I absolutely love my desk. But now though, it's time to get back into this Berwick save. Come on. Okay, so I'm actually back a little bit earlier than January because I wanted to show you this and I didn't want to go too far and ruin this. We are in amazing form after what was a dodgy start. So after that 5-0 win at Sheffield United, I was like, right, we're going to win the whole league. And I was maybe a little bit overconfident because even though we then beat Grimsby in the Carabao Cup, we then did lose to Blackburn. And then after a couple of good wins, we went 4, 5, 6 games without a win after that, which was a little bit more humbling, that was. But then after that, this is the run that we've been on. There is just 2 losses in there, away at Wigan and away at Swansea. So away form is obviously going to be worse than the home form. But in the past few weeks, we have won 5 games on the bounce. 5 games, including this last one here, a win against Hull, a 1-0 win, where I've been using this 4-2-3-1. It's the exact same tactic. It is the we can boogie. What did I actually call it? It is the Wee Bonnie 4-2-4, but with the number 10 instead. So Kyle Whelan, who I talked about maybe being a number 10 or maybe being a striker, I've been playing him as the number 10 quite a bit, and it seems to be working because 5 wins on the bounce is not to be sniffed at, is it? 3-2, 4-3, 3-1, 3-1, 1-0. Now with this good form, bad form, good form, it puts us at 6, puts us in 6, I should say. 19 games into the season, 11 wins, 7 losses. We're in touching distance of, well, we're in touching distance of the top because we've got a game in hand as well. I mean, could we win this league? Probably not. But we do have Kyle Whelan in great form. He's got 10 goals and he's our best player in terms of average rating, playing as this number 10. So I'm just sort of hoping that this little tweak to things has pushed us up a few gears, and the squad that we've got now, they're obviously really good players. Joe Bevan's actually unhappy. I think that's a new deal. Yeah, I'm going to give him a new contract. Don't worry about that. He will be staying. His contract's got 2 years, but I'm just kind of wait it out until he wants a little bit less than he wants right now. But these little tweaks are working. The form is good. 11 goals from Kyle Whelan, look. 9 from Steve Burns up front. Ethan Henderson, he's not played at all this year, and I'm starting to feel a bit bad. So I think I will bring him in. I just hope it doesn't hinder our results. But he's homegrown, and he's played pretty much every game until this point since coming in. I feel bad that he's not really playing, but I think if you just compare him, Steve Burns compare with Ethan Henderson, I suppose he's kind of like, he's better in these regards, but just in the attacking and maybe important ones for a striker, Steve Burns is just a bit better. He's wanted though, so maybe we sell him in January and then Ethan Henderson can come back in. I'm not sure. At the moment though, I'm just kind of going with these guys because these guys have been getting the results for us. So this is where we're at. I wanted to come back early to show you that. I don't think there was any more transfer business at the end of the window. There wasn't. So we're sitting pretty, to be honest. Oh, by the way, I am going to try and make sure that I keep asking for things like improved facilities. Whilst we've got some money in here, this is the time to ask for things like improvements to the training facilities and the youth recruitment. A big part of today's video, I think, is going to be to try and improve the general club, as well as then some of the players on the pitch, because I feel like we're ahead of the reputation of players that we can attract. So what we might need to do is bring in young players that can develop, but whilst doing that, try and improve the general club. We're going to move into our new stadium. Can I finally get these training facilities, youth recruitment, youth facilities to improve? If we can do that, it's like the foundations, isn't it, to grow the club? And if we're going to win the Premier League, I think that's what we're going to have to do. Although I am thinking well ahead of myself at the moment. Maybe we've got ourselves into the playoff positions and I'm like dreaming of the very top. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll see though. The form is telling me that the sky is the limit at the moment. So let's go into January, play all of these. Look how many fixtures we've got in December, by the way. Play all of these fixtures, get into January. I might go to the end of Jan, depending on how much business I do, or I might go to the start. We'll see. And I'll get you an update soon as we push. Let's push for promotion. Why not? Come on. Okay, so I've just done December, actually, and I've come back because, again, I'm so excited about how things are going. We're second. We're blooming second in the championship. I'm sort of like doing the weakest link where I want to come back and record a bit and bank the progress before things go drastically wrong. At the moment, all of these fixtures in December, we've gone unbeaten. A few draws in there. In fact, there's 4 2-2 draws. We will score goals, but we will concede. That is actually a really weird quirk, isn't it? 4 2-2 draws in 1 month. Has anyone ever done that before? You've never seen that, will you? That is, I mean, it's still good because it means we've gone unbeaten. Joe Bevan's got himself a few goals. Jacob Brown, by the way, has come into the team. This guy just scores goals. I wasn't starting him at the start, but since playing him, he's got 11 in 19. He doesn't look like he should score as many goals as he does, but if you play him, he scores, and I love finding players like that in Football Manager. He's 35, but I think he might be up there with one of our top goal scorers now. 11 goals from him. Is he? I assume the top goal scorer is still Whelan, is it? No, he's joined, look, with Kyle Whelan on 11 goals now. Outrageous from him. The table looks like this. 26 games, 14 wins, 5 draws, 7 losses, 47 points. We have played an extra game, and if Derby win, they go above us, and if Hull win, they go above us. And if Sheffield United win, they go to the same points as us. So maybe I'm getting a bit carried away. But at the moment, it's very exciting. This push for promotion, it's on. Even if we drop into the playoffs, if we can give ourselves a chance at the playoffs, I think that's ahead of schedule for this season. So I'm going to go and play this now because this is so much fun. And I feel like we're getting results and actually getting ourselves, with the tweak to the 4-2-3-1, we're giving ourselves a chance here. So let's go. Well, if I do any transfers, I'll let you know. But otherwise, let's go to the end of the season. Come on. We were so close. We finished 7th. I said top half, maybe try and get in the playoffs. And that is what we've done, but we've just missed out on the playoffs. It went down to the final game. We drew our final game at home to Cardiff 1-1. And if we'd won this game, Joe Bevan scored a goal as well. If we won this game, you can see we're back to the 4-2-4, the wee Bonnie 4-2-4. If we'd won this game, we would have been in the playoff spots. However, they scored in the 90th minute. We scored in the 80th. Do you know what? I'm going to show you the goals because this was just the purest of drama, but it's gone against us this time. We have a better goal difference. And if we win the game, we know that we're into the playoffs. We score on 87. Joe Bevan, save hero Joe Bevan scores. And then they equalise on 90. We just couldn't hold it together. They just split for us basically from the kickoff. And that was enough. The draw at home, which is a fine result. We've been on a really good run of form as well. Wasn't enough to sneak us into 6th place. Now, we probably wouldn't win the playoffs, would we? Let's be honest here. These teams are good. West Brom, Ipswich, Hull, Derby. But it would have been nice to give ourselves the chance. We've got a 25 goal difference. Look, plus 25 goal difference. And it wasn't quite enough. It's a disappointment of a season in what has been an amazing season. It was this run here after January that has killed it for us. We were up there flying high, challenging for the title, as I mentioned before. And then we didn't win a game throughout, well, from the end of January all through February, and then just one win in March. We ran out of legs. We ran out of steam, to be completely honest with you. That was the thing. We recovered it enough to go to win a few games and go on a bit of a charge towards those playoff spots. But in all honesty, we threw it away in this period here where we just had a few injuries and we just didn't quite have the legs to see us through. I've now got a bit of a rebuild to do as well because we've got a lot of players leaving at the end of this window. A lot of players that I've been quite on top of it with contracts recently, trying to do things like the optional +3 years in a contract, trying to get people locked down early so that we can then, rather than lose them on a free, sell them for money and try and build up that way. But this year, what I'm finding is maybe because of our reputation, maybe because of we can attract a few good players and get them on an okay contract. And then as soon as they want big new contracts that I can't offer them, they then decide that they want to think about their options and consider their options at the end of those deals and then ultimately leave. That's what's happened with a few of our players. Kieran Slicker is our backup keeper. I think he'll get a new deal. That's no problem. Jacob Brown, who was a serious footballer for this year, he got 17 goals in 39 games. I don't know where from. And looking at his profile, I don't really know why he scores all these goals. But at 36, I was thinking he was just going to be a high rep player to bring in and help us boost our reputation. But no, he was a real asset for us. Played a lot more games than I expected and scored a lot more goals than I expected. He is, though, retiring. Same as Shea Adams. Kerr Smith is also potentially going to go. He wants a new deal. We've got Scott Hughes, who is struggling. I am really struggling to give Scott Hughes a new deal. This guy is so good, so important for us, but I can't get him to sign a new contract because when I speak to him about a new contract, he doesn't think we've got the financial muscle to give him a new contract. That is because previously when I spoke to him, he's on 7.5k. He wants like 40,000 a week. I have 12,000 left over, and that's a healthy place based on already finishing this season as well. I just can't afford to keep him. So I don't really know what I'm going to... I think we're going to have to lose him. And that was something that wasn't even poor planning on my part. I've been trying to extend his contract for about a year. So he's had 2 years left and he just wants too much money. Similar story with Lewis Pirrie, who I'd love to be able to keep, but he's not a starter. And I can't justify the wages that he wants for someone who's not going to be a starter. Same thing. What I will try and do is try and go through and keep a few of these that I think can be squad players, see what's out there as well. We've also got Aidan McGinley telling me he's going to leave at the end of his contract, which is next year. Steve Burns is going to leave at the end of his contract, which is at the end of next year. So it's a bit of a rebuild that I need to go and do. This struggle is what makes this really fun, though. We've just missed out on the playoffs. However, I'm still loving it because I now need to go and build for next year, and we might end up even being weaker because of players leaving, and the players that actually want to come and join, there's not loads of them. So the struggle continues, and I think that's kind of what we're in it for, isn't it? Let's go again for next year. Let's go and build from this point, see if we can bring in a few new players, see if we can extend some of these contracts and go for another season. Just as a heads up on some of our save heroes, by the way, Joe Bevan played 31 games, scored 14 goals. Ethan Henderson, I did bring him back in. He played 19, scored 5. And also even Christy Montgomery, 32 games from him. He's now on 388 games for the club. He's getting ever closer to Eric Tate's 439 game record at the club. I'm hoping that Montgomery will break this. I kind of hope that Joe Bevan will be able to break this as well. He's got 368 at the club. So 439 isn't that far away. He is our record ever goal scorer, of course, as well. He is still our one contemporary icon at the club as well. We are, though, also very, very close now to moving into our new stadium. We are just a couple of months away from moving to the Braveheart Arena, which is very exciting. When I come back, I will show you what transfer business I've been up to, but also introduce you to the new ground. Come on. Welcome, everybody, to the Braveheart Arena in Berwick upon Tweed, England. This is Scotland. This is the Braveheart Arena, and I'm very excited to say this is where we'll be playing our matches this year. We played a few friendlies already. I think we've won every... No, we didn't. We lost to... The under-21s lost to Crystal Palace under-21s. Otherwise, we would have won every game there so far. The stadium condition is very good, which is, as you would hope, to be honest, as it is new. I'm very excited for the brand new era of our football team, as we are once again predicted to finish bottom of the league. I think I've done some lovely stuff in the transfer window, and I think I've managed to get through a window that was that could have been a little bit turbulent with some of the contract situations. Now, let me show you the team that is going to be playing their football here at the Braveheart Arena in 2034. This is the transfer business that I have done. I have spent £775,000. So certainly not a huge amount of spend for a championship team, but relatively big for us, considering where we've come from. As well as this, there was a little bit of business that happened before the tickover. So I'm going to start there as I describe our transfer business. First thing, in January, which I've not told you about, I did extend the loan of Stephen Parker. So he is here until the end of, I think it's the end of this season now. He is here until, the end of this season. So we managed to keep him, which is pretty nice. I wonder if we can maybe sign him permanently in the future if we were to able to get the money to be able to do so, because he's very good. His value is actually quite high, though. He's on loan from Aberdeen. He joined in January, or extended his loan in January. We also did sign Samuel Cleal-Harding again for his second spell at the club after leaving for 250k. We've now brought him back for 53k, which we've somehow still made a profit, and we've got him back as a player because he only played 5 times for Dundee United. So we're happy to have him back. He should probably be a starter, or probably will be a starter going into this season. I also, though, had some big sales happening. 1 or 2 actually in January, which I've not told you about. We sold Bailey Rice to Rangers for 450k. He's actually a bit of a loss, or was a loss in that second half of the season. We also sold Alfie White for rising to 725k to St Johnstone, also up in Scotland. So 2 big midfielders lost there, but we managed to cope enough to finish 7th. But maybe that was part of the reason why we dropped out of those playoff spots. Hopefully, I'm hoping not, because I don't think midfield was our problem, but 2 big losses in there. Then, I kind of talked about playing this guy forever as our left back, didn't I? We've sold Aidan McGinley for £6 million. There was a bit of a auction that I managed to get going. The first bid, I think, was £1 million. I managed to get them up to 6 million. It was them and Coventry and another team that I can't remember, all bidding to sign him. He's gone to Birmingham, who also play in the Championship, for 6 million. And it doesn't look like he's even going to be a starter in there, which is a bit depressing, isn't it? But he went for 6 million. And I also sold Steve Burns for his release clause, which was 900k. He might be worth a little bit more than this, but we did have a release clause. So he's gone to Motherwell, fine thanks, and is going to be their striker in the cinch for next season. So that did give us a bit of money to go and spend. I'm not sure I really have spent it, because I've spent 775k. But the majority of our budget did go on wages because, well, there you can see we've only got £14,000 in transfer budget left. A little bit of wage budget. Because I had to do so many contracts, pretty much all of our money went on those wages. Since the tick over, I've signed 4 players. A left back on loan by the name of Oliver Storrier. You may recognise his name. He was here on loan the season before last, before then going back to Livingston. We've now loaned him again. I kind of want to sign him permanently, but I didn't quite have the money to do so. But if I've got any money over the course of the season, maybe we'll make his signing permanent, because he's pretty good. I think he's very solid as a left back for us, and we did need a left back. So he comes in. Ross Fraser, who is massive, 6'5" defensive midfielder, could also play in defence, has signed for 120k from Bristol Rovers. Played games for them in League One. Can he make the step up to the Championship? We're going to find out, but he's massive, so that helps. Jamie Hawkshaw, I'm going to skip one there. Jamie Hawkshaw in at centre-back. 78k for this guy. I think he looks really good. He's on decent wages at 5k. The wages have definitely had a big jump upwards now that we've secured ourselves as a Championship team. one that can even maybe push for those playoff spots. I'm quite impressed with Jamie Hawkshaw. He has got lots of under-21 caps. Hasn't made his first team debut for Scotland yet, but 78k from Dundee, where he didn't really play any matches, but they signed him for more than that back in 2032, and now we've signed him for less. So I'm hoping he can be a starter for it. I think he looks quite good. He's got attributes in the right places anyway. Very aggressive, Jamie Hawkshaw. And then finally, a Scottish legend, and just a general legend in my eyes, Forza Andy Irving. I tweeted about him recently, about how I am obsessed with just the whole idea of him and how he just sort of spawned in at West Ham. And then I looked him up whilst they were playing and realised that his career is just so weird. Like, this is his actual real life career at West Ham when he joined. Look, he comes in after spending time, after leaving Hearts and going to, he was actually, he played for Berwick. This is the old Berwick club that would have been the real Berwick clubs, but the database has updated them. He played for us back in 2017, then went to Falkirk on loan, and then went to Türkgücü München in Germany, who we also did a video about, and then Austria Klagenfurt, before just spawning in at West Ham and then becoming, well, he's in the Scotland team, I think, and he's played Premier League games. In this save, he went to Hibs after a loan to Sturm Graz, back to Austria, because of course, why not? At Hibs, he forged out a decent career actually in the Cinch Prem, before going to Rotherham on a free, before we've signed him for 450k. And I don't know if he's going to be any good, but he is also Andy Irving. So we're definitely going to be using him because, to be honest, I'm quite obsessed with the idea of it. He comes in and probably be in our midfield alongside Parker, who is stayed. I need to now show you, before I go through the squad with you, I need to show you some of the players that have left because there were a few released players. Lewis Pirri refused to sign a new contract because he wasn't going to be a starter. He's on a free. He's actually not got a new club. He scored loads of goals for us, didn't he, in that one season? Well, 2 seasons actually, 20 and then 16. He was good, but didn't play as much. He barely played last year, did he? So he's not too much of a loss. Scott Hughes, though, he's a really big loss. 26, Scotland international, very good. Couldn't sign him. Wouldn't sign a new contract. Now he won't talk to us at all. Like, he wanted, I think it was 40k at one point. He's now without a club. Like, I'm assuming his wage demands are still really high and nobody is signing him, but he's still not got a club. But he would have been a starter for us. It seems like such a shame, but we've had to say goodbye to Scott Hughes, to be honest. After a loan, and then we signed him permanently. Played a couple of seasons, and then it's a really sad story because he's just going to become worse and worse without a club, and then eventually probably retire if he doesn't get a club at the end of it, and he just won't speak to us because I'd love to have him, but can't sign him. So, yeah, we're in a bit of a pickle with that one. Otherwise, we're looking a bit better in terms of contracts. There are a few that expire next year, these guys. 2 of them are loans, which I might try and either keep permanently or extend. Alex Grant, who's very much a backup. Jake Davison, who's also very much a backup. And then Andy Irving, who, if he plays, I think it's 15 games, will get a new 1-year deal anyway. So he might be staying too. It means that the club is in a better position. I have had to hand out some pretty big contracts, though. Emilio Lawrence is on 12k a year. Andy Irving on 12k a year as well. That might be a mistake, but it is Andy Irving. So I refuse to acknowledge it as a mistake. Joe Bevan and Ethan Henderson, our heroes, are on big wages now to try and keep them, but they do have long-term deals now. Ethan Henderson is one that I will need to renew soon. He's only got 2 years left on his deal, but I'll be able to do that, I'm pretty sure. You can see that the general wage, the overall salaries of players have definitely increased over the past couple of years. I think we'll still be really low. I don't think I can check on here until we've played a game, can I? But I'm sure that we would... No, I can't. We would definitely still have one of the lower wages in the league regardless of this, because let's just choose a team at random. Let's go to Bolton in here. Bolton, who have been in League One not that long ago, even down in League Two, look here, will still have players, I'm sure, on much bigger... Yeah, look. They've got players on 39k, look. And then even if you scroll down all the way to about here, their top... What's that? 8 players are all on more wages than our top earner. So I think that does just put it into context. That's what we're up against. That's why we're predicted to finish bottom. Even though our players, I don't think will have very good current abilities, I think their attributes sort of make up for it. Like, look at Stephen Parker. I think this is a solid footballer in our midfield, even though I assume his current ability won't be that high. Players like Joe Bevan, we know that he's not great. Like, if you look at his attributes, he's not great, but he does score goals. So... We are punching above our weight, but I think we're going to be able to punch above our weight for the rest of this season too. So I'm feeling good. I'm quite happy with the business that we've done. I feel ready to go and attack this season now and maybe just try and finish a little bit better than we did. Maybe try and avoid that horrible patch of loads of losses. And if we do that, maybe the playoffs could be beckoning. Just to show you as well, a couple of our players did retire. Jacob Brown and Shay Adams did retire, and Aidan Fitzpatrick went out on a free as well. I think that was actually before that, wasn't it? That was in 2033. This summer before the takeover, though, Shay Adams and Jacob Brown did leave. I think we're ready, though. Let's go and attack season 12, our first season at our new ground. Let's go and see if we can fill up this 14,000 seater that we've now got. Come on. Okay, so I don't mean to alarm anybody, but the new stadium might be magic. We are at the end of January, so I've gone all the way through to Jan and then even done the January window now, which I've not actually done any transfers in, which is why I'm coming back now. But at this stage, we are top of the league. We are topping the championship, looking set to be favourites to get to the Premier League. I actually can't believe I'm saying this. Results have been sensational, as well as I think a bit of a drop-off around the teams around us, because in 29 games, Leicester have lost 6, Fulham have lost 7, Blackburn 7, Everton, who are in the championship, have lost 6, and they are 6 points behind us after 29 games. Obviously, though, this means that we have been gloriously good ourselves. 17 wins from our first 29. These are our results. There are a few poor results in there, but generally, overall, we have been so good. First game of the season was against Fulham. We beat them 2-0 at home. Then we went and lost 1 game in our first month. No games in September. We did drop a few points in October. We lost to Cardiff away. We lost to Coventry at home 4-1. That was maybe a low point. We then also went out of the Carabao Cup to Arsenal, but we even pushed Arsenal quite close, actually. We only lost to Arsenal 3-1, and you can see it was a sellout crowd, 14,558. We're basically selling out or thereabouts. We're getting 14,000 plus in every home game, which is quite nice because I was a bit worried. I don't know how many fans we're actually going to have. It seems like we do have enough to fill up our new stadium, which is quite fun, isn't it? 14,000-ish. And then in November, we went unbeaten again. In December, we dropped points in 3 games, or lost 3 games, I should say. We lost to Watford, we lost to Blackburn, and we lost to Ipswich. But we did also beat AFC Wimbledon and Blackburn. And then January, amazing. We have won 4 of our 6 games and then drawn a couple. One of them was in the FA Cup 3rd round. We beat Sheffield Wednesday, and we've gone through to the FA Cup 4th round. This has been the highlight of the season so far. Maybe the save so far in terms of results anyway. We drew with Chelsea 0-0. We've got a replay back at Stamford Bridge. We're probably going to lose, aren't we? Because this Chelsea team is going to be outrageous. In fact, I'll show you the Chelsea team in this game here. We played the 4-2-4. This was their team. Up front, they've got Kendry Paez is still in there. Lucaba's playing in midfield. Their striker's called Blanco and is probably quite good. We can't really see because I've not scouted him because he's not Scottish, but there's no point. But I think it gives a bit of a flavour of just how good this team is that we're up against. How good is Kendry Paez nowadays? Yeah, quite good. Value of about 100 million-ish. He's got 86 caps for Ecuador as well. We, though, went toe-to-toe with them and created a horrible game where each team had 1 shot on target each and nobody scored a goal. Fine by me. It should also help our balance, which is £2.2 million. I am still, by the way, asking to improve these things here. And you can see that most recently, we did improve the training facilities and the youth facilities back in June. And it's probably about time for me to ask again. So I will once again go and ask to improve these things. I also asked for a coaching course, as you can see, and they said no, which is a little bit mean, to be honest. We've still got a B license and they're saying no to me getting my A license, which is annoying. It was one of the things, by the way, that I want to do is try and get the Scotland job. I am constantly looking. They have actually removed Julian Lopetegui. They've got Arthur Jorge as their manager now. And that means that I've missed out. But I don't think I get the job anyway at the moment because my reputation isn't amazing as a championship manager. And also because I've only got a B license. So they're not going to appoint me until I get that pro license and also get myself probably into the Premier League. So fingers crossed that can happen in the future, because my big dream is to be able to give Joe Bevan a Scottish cap. He's 30 now. Same with Ryan Robertson, who's actually a bit upset because he's not been starting every game. And the same for Christy Montgomery and Ethan Henderson. If I could play all of those guys for Scotland, oh, it would be glorious, wouldn't it? It'd be lovely. However, it's not going to happen. I did do a bit of extra business that I need to show you. Before the end of the window, I did a short-term loan for Hugh Campbell. He's now gone back to Hearts, but did play a lot of games for us. That's why Robertson's not been starting. Suddenly he's going to be a starting right back again because he's now gone back to Hearts. Did get 5 assists and play very well for us, Hugh Campbell. Then finally also Alan Robertson on a free. Another Robertson who's going to play left back, except he doesn't really play because he's not our starter. He's just sort of okay. He's a backup basically. At left back instead we're playing this Storia who came in on a loan. I think I actually, did I just extend his loan? Yes, we've got him for another year until now. So I did just extend his loan for another season too. So he will be here until January of next season. And we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. We're doing very well is the general feeling. I'll show you some of the stats here before we do continue. We are on a title charge. I'd love to go and win this league. I am, though, very wary of the fact that last season, it was around about here in January that we had this massive drop-off. It came mostly from injuries. And as you can see by the squad here, we are knackered and there's not a lot in way of backups here. Currently, we only have a couple of injuries. Ethan Henson's out, he's broke his ribs, and Cleo Harding's out with a lower back stress fracture. He's out for 6 to 7 weeks. So we've done okay with injuries so far, but if that does happen again, I'm very wary that this could be on our horizon. Fingers crossed it isn't. Fingers crossed we can see this through. Wouldn't it be good to get into the Premier League in today's video and to sort of start building towards winning that league? Because I still feel like it's a really long way away. Looking at the quality of our players, it's a really long way away, isn't it? But this year could be the year. First year in the new stadium being promoted to the Prem would be very nice, wouldn't it? Let's go and find out. Oh, actually, before we do, I also need to show you that we have got our youth intake and it's terrible. So don't hold your breath for any youth players. Let's go and see if we can get promoted. Okay, listen, I'm not panicking. You're panicking. Okay, maybe I'm panicking a little bit. We are 41 games into the season. There are 5 games to go. It's the 31st of March, 2035. And we are this close to Premier League. This close to the promised land that is the Premier League. We're no longer top. We have blown our lead at the top. Leicester City have become the best team in the league, it would appear. Omari Kellerman has scored 23 goals. But we are there, right there in the automatic promotion spot, just behind them. 4 points behind them with 5 games to go. However, there is a slight problem that Birmingham could go level with us if they win their game in hand. We have got a better goal difference, though. Our goal difference is the second best in the league. So we are in an amazing position. I'm just really scared that we bottle it from here. We have got these games to go. We play Bolton, Watford, Hull, Leicester, the leaders, which is terrifying, and then AFC Wimbledon away from home. Most of these teams aren't involved in the promotion hunt, except for Leicester. We play them at home, so I feel like this might be a really important game. I wanted to come in, again, a little bit like a weakest link bank to show you how things have been going before they potentially go amazingly or terribly. These are the stats on here now. Another update I actually want to give you before we look at those. Christy Montgomery has now played 429 games for us. This year, he's played 41 times, 30 starts, 11 off the bench. He's had to come in because of injuries. Now, I mentioned the injuries. We have had a few. They look like they're pretty much resolved now. Stephen Parker's nearly back from a little slight injury he had. But we had a few that meant that he's had to play a lot of games. Thought he'd be used as a bench player this year, but he's had to start loads of times this year. It means that overall, he is only just behind now Eric Tate. He's 10 games, and he will become our top league appearance maker in the entire history of the club, which is quite fun. We then have the top goal scorer and top appearance maker in our ranks at the moment, which is cool. I think you'd imagine that one of these days he might become a favourite personnel as well, but apparently not. It's just still Joe Bevan. We're still only a favourite personnel despite what we've done for the club as well. So it's fine. I'm not heartbroken by it at all or anything. This, though, is where we're at. Since Jan, our results have been really good with a few poor results in there. We did lose away at Chelsea in the FA Cup as expected. We then lost to Stoke. We lost to Swansea. Did beat Portsmouth. Did beat Sheffield Wednesday, though. We've beaten Wednesday I like multiple times this year. We played them in the FA Cup, which is why we had an extra game in there. It's been a really good March, actually. Just the one loss to Sheffield United, who are in 20th, which is a bit of a blow, actually, considering it was at home and they are not doing great this year. But 2 good results recently. We beat Fulham away, great result. We beat Blackpool at home with goals from William McLeod, by the way. He's had to come in and play games. He came through our youth intake as well. He's nearly at 100 appearances for us. Youth intake player who's not amazing, but does have okay physicals, which I think is maybe carrying him a little bit. He's out of contract, but just staying at the club as well. So that's good. He's chipped in with 2 really important goals there. We head into the run-in with promotion in our sights. The Premier League in our sights. Let's go and find out if I can do it. I've just absolutely bottled it. We've just lost to Wimbledon in the last game of the season. They went 1-0 up. We're away at Wimbledon. If I remember, I showed you. They are not great as well. We went 1-0 up. Well, they went 1 up, sorry, through that goal there. We then made it 1-1. Kyle Whelan with a lovely finish. And if we win this game, we would have been promoted automatically because of other results. They then did this in the 90th minute, or 89th minute technically there. And we lost the game 2-1. I've bottled it again. Last season, we should have been in the playoffs and I bottled it last game. This season, we should have gone up automatically and I've bottled it last game. There's the team that played, look. Henderson and Whelan up front. We played the 4-2-4. Joe Bevan on the right. Lawrence on the left. It's so annoying. Let me show you the result. Let me show you the table. The table looks like this. We finished 5th, which I suppose, given where we came from, given where we were predicted to be, is an amazing finish. We're in the playoffs. We still have a chance of getting promoted. However, if we would have won that game, we would have 87 points with a superior goal difference to Birmingham. We would be going up a point off the very top. Leicester only just sneaking that win, that title win as well. I'm actually gutted because our results have been pretty poor. We've not won in our last 4 games. So, like, the wheels have fallen off, but much later this year. We had a bit of a sticky spell here, but one of them was in the FA Cup. I showed you what our run-in was, and we only won 1 of our last 5 games. We should be a Premier League team already. We're now in the playoffs. We will play. I don't know. Can you actually tell it from here straight away who you're going to play? I think we play Blackburn, don't we? We're going to have Blackburn in the semi-finals, and then it's Fulham or Everton in the final if we go through. Everton feel like a really difficult opponent, even though we actually finished above them. They've still got really good players as well. Mattis França, Dwight McNeil's still playing. Their key player is Nigel Alexis, who is a striker. Okay, I'm going to go play the playoff semi-finals and let you know how that goes. And please let us get to a final. On my word, do not panic, everybody. We're back straight away. It's not taking long. We are back. We have won against Blackburn. Ethan Henderson with the goal there. It's a 3-2 win. We went 2-0 up. Lawrence with the assist for this one. Henderson with his second. Our homegrown new gen, Ethan Henderson, has scored a hat-trick in the Championship playoff semi-final to send us to Wembley. Blackburn made it difficult, though. A lovely back post header from Omoregi there. We then went 3-1 up. Henderson again chasing down. I mean, look at that from the keeper. Gavin Bazunu handing us a 3rd goal. Henderson on point to put it in. Omoregi then did this, just went on a run, and eventually it deflects in. That is 3-2, but that's how it finished. And then in the first leg, we draw 0-0 at home, meaning we are in the playoff final. A ridiculous game. In fact, I'm going to show you this goal again. They missed a penalty as well, by the way. This goal here was the one that took us to Wembley. Gavin Bazunu with one of the worst goalkeeping errors you could possibly ever see. We do not mind there. We will be playing either Everton or Fulham in the final. I believe Everton had the advantage. We're going to find out. Can I see it on here? It was, yeah, Everton were 1-0 up from the first leg, but they're going to go and play each other next. We're going to go and play a playoff final for a place in the Premier League. Come on. We've done it. We did it. We've beaten Everton in the playoff final at Wembley. A goal from Ross Fraser gave us the lead in the second half. Everton bounced back immediately with this equaliser. Dwight McNeil to the byline, crosses it. Another back post header. It went to extra time at Wembley. But we've done it. It was a corner that bounced back out and then eventually came to Smith. Kerr Smith, our centre-back, who smashes it through the keeper almost in extra time. And little Berwick Rangers, after 12 seasons, are going to be a Premier League team. I have no idea how that is going to look. I have no idea how this gang of lads are going to be able to do it in the Premier League. We're going to have to go big, I guess, in the transfer window. We've been given money as well, by the way. We've got £25 million to go and spend. Our balance is still in the red, but I assume with that money that you get from being promoted, that is going to go up, rocket up hugely. Yeah, look, it even projects it to 32 million. We're going to have actual money to go and spend, actual wage budget. The problem is, I don't know if we're going to be able to attract any good players because our reputation surely is not going to be that high still. I'm so intrigued about how this is going to go. The logic dictates that we get relegated straight back down. So I'm going to make sure that I don't agree to anything that would likely get me sacked if we do get relegated, because I think that is highly likely to happen. But right now, Berwick Rangers are going to the Premier League. Get in. Let's go and do a transfer window to hopefully position ourselves in a place where we can stay up. It might be impossible. Come on. Okay, so we are ready for the Premier League. If when you say ready, you mean 2001 odds, massive favourites to finish bottom and get immediately relegated back down to the Championship. We are ready. This must be one of the biggest underdog stories ever when we win this league this year. We're probably not going to win this league this year. If we stay up, it might actually be a miracle as well. We have, though, been busy in the transfer window, which I need to show you because we've spent actual money here at Berwick for the very first time. I've spent £24 million. Now, I will admit a lot of this is not up front. Some of them I've used a little bit of installments in a couple of these. Nothing silly, but rather than paying £9 million straight off the bat, I've done about £4 million and then we'll eventually pay the rest of it, as is sort of realistic in real life, really. But I've tried to bring in the best of the best that are willing to join. The problem is that there just wasn't that many. Now, these guys have cost a lot of money, but I'm not even sure that they're necessarily Premier League quality, which is a huge issue when you're spending £5 million. I'll go through them. First up, remember we got given 25 million to spend. So I decided I would spend it because our money is now 500,000 here, but our projection says that it's going to go to 100 million pounds. That tells me that we are getting TV money and then prize money and all sorts that I don't think I need to worry about spending anymore. If they give me a budget, I think I'm going to spend it because, I mean, it's not often your projection looks as good as this one, is it? I've spent £24 million. The first player is Jordan Doherty, who is, okay, I said maybe not Championship quality. This guy is genuinely really good, isn't he? He's 24. He should get a bit better as well. He's got great physicals and good finishing. And I think he makes for a really good striker. Good composure as well. He comes in. We've bought him from Dundee, where he scored goals last year as well in the Cinch Premiership. I actually think this one is a really smart signing for only 5 million. And I don't know if that one, I think that was just 5 million straight up front, to be honest. This might be the way that we have to do our shopping, by the way. We might have to look for really good Scottish players that play in Scotland who are then willing to come to the Premier League because of the reputation, because other players that are already playing for Tottenham or Liverpool, etc., just aren't going to join Berwick Rangers, especially whilst we're still only a national reputation. And whilst we've got these facilities, it's not looking good, is it? I'll just go back to it and tell you again, I am constantly asking for improvements. They are constantly rejecting me for lots of them. We are improving our training facilities at the moment, but they rejected me on youth level, youth recruitment, youth facilities. I think I wonder if I need this balance to go up, and if the projection suggests that that is going to be the case, then maybe I can start to really pile my way through these facilities and improve them. Again, it was one of my promises for this video is to see if I can improve this and improve our club as a whole so that we can start to build on those foundations. Some of the foundations, though, from signings. So Jordan Doherty, I think, looks really good. Alfie White, remember him? We had him on loan. He eventually went to St Johnstone for 700k after we bought him for 500k. We've bought him back again for 4.3 million. They've actually done a number on us there, haven't they? It's usually us that do this, buy cheap and then sell them for loads and then sometimes buy them back. We've bought them back for way more money, but we've kind of got the money to spend, so we kind of can. Hold on a second. There's Lenny doesn't approve apparently of this. So Alfie White's back. We've bought him for £4.3 million. He looks like he's going to be a good midfielder for us, is what I will say about him. He looks like he's going to be a good midfielder for us. He's 27 as well. He's a former Scottish international. I don't think he's in the squad anymore, though. Next up, do you remember this guy, Jamie Doak? We looked at him a few years back, and I said, I'd like to have him one day. We've signed him on a free. He's got a massive value as well. He's only 26. He scored 4 in 7 for Scotland. We've signed him on a free he was released by Derby after being out on loan last year. I don't really know where we play him. His attributes don't look amazing, but his scout report said that he was really good. So we're going to take a chance on him. Jamie Doak, we might need to retrain him as a defensive midfielder. He's got okay tackling, actually. He's not actually terrible there. As a defensive midfielder who's a sort of like deep playmaker, maybe, that type of thing. He's on a free anyway, so it makes sense to bring him in. Then Aidan McGinley. This is the most ridiculous one. Look what we've done. We sold him last year for £6 million. I said he was going to be our long-term left back, didn't I? He's a really good winger who can play left back. We sold him for £6 million. We've bought him back for 5.5. I kind of think that kind of works for me, though, because we now have a lot of money and we didn't have money then. This £6 million was so useful for us last season, whereas now we've got the money, we can buy him back for a little bit less. that it was like a loan. We basically had a loan from Birmingham, and it helped us to get to the Premier League. So that's good. He comes in. And then finally, I've gone big on a new goalkeeper. Callum McKenna is very real. He's a 28-year-old. He is Scotland's #1 goalkeeper at the moment. And I've spent about £9 million on him. It was not 9 million up front. It does mean that we will have some transfer debt that I can show you on here. We've got 8 million now of transfer debt. That's because of these deals that we've done with a little bit of future installments. Nothing crazy because, I mean, 8 million is not crazy, is it? This net debt, by the way, is mainly the stadium, I believe, that we're still paying back. But quality-wise, I think he's a real improvement, especially when you compare him to our former keeper, Adam Farquhar, who I have sold to Wolves for £1 million. We actually got a bit of money back on him as well. We signed him for 78k, sold him for £1 million. So that's good money. And he wasn't going to be #1 anymore. I think his contract was going to expire as well. So it sort of worked out completely. If you compare the two of them, Callum McKenna comes in, who is just simply a better goalkeeper basically everywhere. Maybe not quite as good in the air, look, but he's actually taller. So overall, though, a much better goalkeeper. Hopefully, having a good keeper is going to help us to stay in this Premier League this year, because that is our aim. Playing our 4-2-4, our squad looks a bit like this. We've got McKenna in goal. Ryan Robertson is still at right back, although we do have maybe like Kerr Smith could play there, although he's not very happy at the moment. Hawkshaw and Ross Fraser, the big Ross Fraser, in at the back. We could do Stephen Parker could play at centre-back as well if we wanted to play maybe like Andy Irving to come and play in midfield or something. Aidan McGinley at left-back with Storia as the backup left-back. Alfie White and then either Parker or Irving or a combination of different midfielders. I'd love to sign another midfielder, I think. We've got a little bit of money left, but there's not loads out there that are sort of jumping out as being quality, but that would be a nice one. Joe Bevan on the right. I'm going to go with Doherty on the left because he can play as a winger. Play Kyle Whelan as a striker alongside Ethan Henderson. We've then got Emilio Lawrence to come in if we need to. And another alternative would be to do something like this and play Doherty through the middle. He would be really good, but he can also play wide on either side. So I think I'm going to do what I'd started with, which is this. And we'll go with that. We've got Leeds in our first game. I'm going to go and play just the first game because with it being our first game in the Premier League, I'm really intrigued to find out how we actually do in this. And I feel like you guys might be the same. So I'm going to come back straight after this Leeds game. And okay, Premier League, no problem. We actually went 1-0 down in this game. Brogio with the opening goal, our new goalkeeper conceding within 9 minutes, but I don't think that was his fault. But we came charging back. Joe Bevan combining with Ryan Robertson down the right, deflected cross, and then Kyle Whelan with the finish at the near post. Second half, we took the game away from Leeds. Lovely football. Here's Joe Bevan into Kyle Whelan. Apparently that's onside. It's a lovely assist from Joe Bevan, by the way. We need to make sure he gets a Premier League goal. I told you he'd play in the Prem, though. I just need to give appearances to Christy Montgomery and make sure that he gets the top appearances record as well. But it was a third goal. It was an own goal from Christensen. And we've taken to the Premier League like a duck to water. It's a good start. I feel better about staying up now. We need to aim for that 40-point mark. It's a very even game, but we did manage to take our chances and Leeds didn't look. We had less of the possession, but overall, I think we did just edge it and deserve it. We're second in the Premier League. It might not ever get better than this. It has to, actually. It will get better than this. We've got West Ham next. I'm going to go and play these games here to get us to about January. In that time, we play United, Arsenal, City. Oh my word, look at this run. United, Arsenal, City, Spurs and Liverpool pretty much in a 2-month spell. That could be terrifying. I'm going to go find out how it goes. I'll see you in Jan. Okay, so I've gone through and done about a month and a bit. I've done 7 games of our new season in the Premier League, and I wanted to just jump in now for 2 reasons. First of all, to show you that this is going to be a slog. 7 games in, we've won 1 game so far, and that was that first game against Leeds. I thought it might have been easy, but I didn't think that. We made it look easy in that first game. Since then, we've drawn a game. We drew to West Ham away. That was game 2. Then we've lost 5 on the bounce. And this is before our horror run of fixtures begins. So there's the first 2 games, look. We beat Leeds, drew to West Ham. We then lost 4-0 to Chelsea. Hawkshaw did get sent off in that one. We went through in the Carabao Cup, though. We beat Lincoln. We've subsequently gone out to Leeds, though, 3-2. We lost to Bournemouth. We lost 5-1 to Brighton. Another red card, though. I don't know whether I need to take get stuck in or off at this level. Maybe our players are not good enough and then they're trying to get stuck in and they're just getting sent off. It was 2 really quick yellow cards, look, from McGinley at left back. We lost that game 5-1. Then we lost 1-0 to Brentford. Then we lost 2-0 to Leicester. Leicester were also promoted last season, weren't they? It's not looking good, Brev, is what I'm told people say these days. I'm sufficiently worried, I think I'd probably frame it, especially ahead of this run here where we play. I mean, Burnley, we should maybe get a win. I mean, a win against Burnley maybe gives us the confidence. I'm kind of at the stage where I might need to put friendlies in to try and fix this. The players don't like losing. We've lost 5 on the bounce. I might do friendlies and we need to beat Burnley, who are 18th. And then we've got a horror run of games. And we might get relegated. Luckily, we are supposed to attempt to avoid relegation. And even though we're in the relegation zone at the moment, the board are satisfied with how we are doing. We're only on a C+, though. There is a very small chance that this series ends because we get sacked rather than winning everything, which is the aim at the beginning. I don't think it's going to come to that, but it is something I probably need to mention, is where I'm at the moment. The other reason I wanted to come back a little bit earlier than January is because we have officially a new record holder at the club. Christy Montgomery has now played 440 games. He is 1 game ahead of Eric. I can't remember what his name. Who was Eric Tate? He's the only legend at the club. So now Christy Montgomery is our record appearance maker ever. He's been here since 2025. And since then has played, I mean, nearly 40 games every single season. This year he might play less. He's only played, I mean, to be fair, he's played 6 of the 7 so far. He's not good enough. He's not a Premier League level player. I'll tell you that for an absolute fact. But the sentimental side of me is getting the better of me, maybe. Maybe I need to be a bit more ruthless if we're going to stay in the league. Now that he's the record holder, I might stop playing him, to be completely honest. Just to show you as well, Joe Bevan has actually been playing games and he's still a starter from right wing, and Ryan Robertson is still a starter at right back. He's played 6 of the 7 games so far as well, so that's just a nice thing. Joe Bevan hasn't scored a goal yet, though. He's actually only played 3 of the games because he's had a slight injury. Hasn't scored a goal yet. That is a big aim of this season. We need to get him this goal, and then maybe once I've got him a goal, and now that Montgomery is the lead appearance maker, maybe I can stop playing them and play the better players and try and stay up that way. That might be what we have to do. He still needs a goal, though. Ethan Henderson has played most of the games. He does usually start, as I showed you, something like this. He's got 2 goals in the Premier League. So Ethan Henderson, who's been here since 2025 as well, or 2026 actually, when he first played, through our youth intake, has now got a Premier League goal to his name. From the Vanarama National to the Premier League, outrageous achievement. Again, he's actually made a lot of improvements. His value is really high. He's only 24 and could get a bit better than this too, but again, he's scraping by as a Premier League quality player there. But I love it. I love the storyline. As long as we stay up. I might need to be a bit less sentimental and a bit more sensible here. I'm going to go and play until January-ish now. I might play until the end of Jan, as we've had an extra little stop off here. If I do any business, I'll let you know then, though. I'll see you after the next chunk of games. I'm worried about it. Hopefully it goes better. Okay, all right. Okay, fine. Don't worry. Don't panic. It has definitely gone better. I mean, it was very difficult for it to go worse, but we've got some results on the board. In fact, January has been really good. It's a shame that all of the games weren't in the Premier League, but we've got a lot of wins. January and December, we turned it around. We had this horror run of games. But if I show you we got to Burnley, didn't we, here? I said we have to win this Burnley game. And we did. We won it 4-1. Doherty, Hawkshaw, Doak and Whelan with the goals. And then even though we lost to Villa, it meant that we had enough cohesion and confidence to go and get a win against Manchester United. Is this our best ever result? I think it might be up there because United are no slouches either. They are not real life Man United. They've got Thomas Tuchel in charge, or as he likes to be known, Matthias Dahm. They're a good team with good players and we beat them. We lost to Arsenal, drew to Birmingham. We did lose 6-1 to City. Maybe that's the marker. Once we beat City, we know that we're a serious football team that can compete in the Premier League. One day we're going to have to get there. We lost 6-1 to them. We beat Spurs 4-1. Hat-trick from Ethan Henderson. Premier League hat-trick from our new gen, Ethan Henderson, who's still improving, by the way. Definitely, as I mentioned, is going to get better. He's 25 now. He has had his birthday in November. Love the fact that he's actually viable as a Premier League striker, even if he's not a top Premier League striker. We then lost to Wolves, beat Liverpool. Maybe that's our best ever result, actually. Again, 92nd minute winner, Ethan Henderson scoring another goal. Joe Bevan is a Premier League goal scorer. It happened in this game against Liverpool. I'm going to show you it. Of course, we need to watch it. It was an equaliser following Florian Wirtz with the opener. An equaliser in this game, which eventually was won by Ethan Henderson, our other new gen scoring the goal there. McGinley into Henderson, tackled in at the back post, smashing in, textbook on his left foot in front of those adoring Berwick fans at our new ground as well. What a moment. What a moment in this save. I love it. You can see the team there. We play in this 4-2-3-1 system that we've moved to. Christy Montgomery, by the way, started at right back in that game. It's really useful that he can play everywhere because that's why he's still getting his appearances, even though he's no longer a starter. He's got 9 starts, 9 sub appearances because he comes on and plays everywhere. He's played left wing this year, right back this year, as well as defensive midfield, which is where he usually plays. A lovely asset. Captain, leader, legend is Christy Montgomery. And then after that, look, you see the other results there. A really good January, even though most of them were cup games. 2 FA Cup games, 3 FA Cup games in there. And then a 3-2 win against West Ham, a loss against Leeds, and then a 2-1 win against Bournemouth before a 2-2 draw with Brighton. It's looking a lot better. We're 12th in the league. We have 30 points in the next 15 games. If we can get 10 points, we will be safe for this year. And honestly, that is my number one aim. Look at that, by the way. Erling Haaland with 15. Second top goal scorer in the league, Ethan Henderson. Our boy is doing us proud this year. 12 Premier League goals. He's on track to have a better season than he had last year and the season before, with which were both in the Championship. It might even be, it's his best goals. It might end up being his best goal scoring season ever. And it's in the Premier League. He got 16 when he played in League 2. He got 13 when he played in the Vanarama National, and now he's got 12 in the Premier League. You do love to see it, don't you? He's now got, by the way, 330 appearances for us. I will, at the end of this season, have another look at the best 11 because I do like keeping track of all the little storylines that we are creating here. Here at our new home, the Braveheart Arena, which I'd love for them to go and extend again, to be honest, but they probably don't need to, actually. I don't think we're getting I don't think we get much more than 14,500 fans in there. Speaking of extending and improving things, though, I am, again, still asking for improvements. We did improve our youth recruitment at the start of the month, and then since then, they've agreed to improve our training facilities and our youth facilities. So we are going up in the world. There is improvements being made, just slowly but surely, as well as the youth recruitment here. It is the youth level here that's hopefully going up too. So adequate youth facilities, 3 youth level, and then average training facilities and above average youth recruitment. Maybe this is the year that we get a good intake, although I can tell you the answer to that. It's not the year that we get a good intake because we've got one player that's above an E and it's a goalkeeper, which we don't really need. So a mediocre group of players coming through. Below average intake, which kind of sums things up. Ryan Christie, can you sort them out, please? I know you're a terrible head of youth development, but you're also a club legend. So can you do a bit better? Oh, another thing, by the way, I am really trying to improve our staff. We now have the best technical coaching in the Premier League. You never sing that. I'm hoping to make this the best because usually you can do better than the AI. I just need to keep asking for more coaching staff, which I actually can ask. Let me ask for some more of those as well. The reason that they're saying yes to these things, the reason that they are saying yes to these things, by the way, is that our balance has gone up to about 20 million. It was a bit more and then it's crept down a little bit. Projection still says we're going to have just, 75 million pounds in the bank there. So they're saying yes because we're clearly going to get money. We did get the news item that said we were going to be given 80 million. So I think that's where that money's come from. It has also been January, and I did do one piece of business in this window as well, and that was the signing of a youngster. Remember when I talked about my plan being maybe we need to sign young players that we can develop into first team good players because otherwise it's hard to attract people. I've signed Luke Ireland, who's an 18-year-old under 21 international. Signed him from Kilmarnock. Again, back to that method of trying to sign players that might join us. Maybe the Scottish League is the place to look. He's only 18, got good potential. We're going to have to ignore his cons of not being very consistent because beggars can't be choosers, basically. But he's come in for 1.6 million. He could be useful for this season, but especially could be useful for the future if we can develop him. So I will be trying to keep going with this. I've also loaned out Cleel Harding because he wasn't playing. He's gone to Dundee. So I will keep trying to do things like that. But overall, we're looking solid for our first season in the Premier League. Survival is the target. Let's go to the end of the season and see if we can achieve that. All All right, so I was feeling really good, wasn't I, about this season? We've had a horror show of a second half of the season. We have won one game since January the 26th. We have finished 15th. Luckily, we are still going to be a Premier League team for next year because we did what we needed to do. Do you remember I talked about we needed 10 points to get 40 to be comfortable? We ended up on 38. In 15 games, we got 8 points. It just it's a real stark reminder of how difficult this is going to be. We were definitely ahead of ourselves for that first half of the season, but in 15 games, we only got one win. That one win was against Spurs away from home, which is so Spursy, isn't it? But in that time, we also lost 7-0 to Manchester United, 4-0 to Birmingham. We drew with Arsenal as well. It doesn't make any sense. We lost 5-0 to Chelsea. We drew 4-4 and drew 3-3 with Liverpool there. It was not fun. Let me tell you, I did try going a bit more defensive. I used both this system and the 4-2-3-1. I also used this one, which is more defensive, more cautious, a little bit more of a counter-attacking system. I was changing maybe too much, which possibly didn't help us. If I just pick a game here, this was the 2-2 with Palace. We played in this one. This is, I think, the defensive cautious one. Now, this one might have been more attacking again because we had quite a lot of chances in this game. But I was really experimenting between the three of them to try and get points, basically to get enough points to stay in the league. And then I thought if we can stay up, we're then an official Premier League club. Maybe our reputation will go up a little bit and maybe we'll bring in some better players. But 15th is our first season. Considering we were massive 2,000 to 1 odds 20th predicted, it's a good season. I think it's just a bit of a reminder of this could still be really tough and we could still get relegated next year. I'm worried, but also happy that we've managed to stay up. We've got £32 million to go and spend. Our budget, we've got £41 million in our balance right now. It's really, really healthy. It does mean we can keep improving these things too. Youth recruitment luck is nice 1 star. They're all yellow now instead of grey stars on here. Training facilities up to 3, youth facilities 2. I've also been told that I can go and study my Continental A license, which is very nice indeed when it comes to Mission Scotland Manager. And we are in the process of just about to finish improving our youth facilities too. And then I can go and ask and try and improve other things as well at the start of next season. It's a good first season here at the Braveheart. Something to build upon with money to go and spend to build upon it as well. The only problem is that the players that are out there, they don't look very good. Here's a couple that are coming in, actually. I can tell you early. A couple of youngsters that I'm signing. One from Celtic on a free. He comes in. David Crawford could be a potential player in the future. He's only 18. And then another one, Chris Caddis, who is a left winger coming in from Aberdeen. I'm just looking at these Scottish teams trying to bring in youngsters that might turn into good players for us because at the moment our youth facilities, our youth recruitment isn't doing it for us. We might need to look elsewhere. I am, though, very much still scouting everybody. Now that we can actually have a proper scouting range and actually scout people, although I did use pretty much all of the budget this year. This might sum it up, though. Look at the value of these players. And then if you actually look at who they are, a few of these, if I go, Kieran Dunn, for example, is worth nearly £7 million. He plays for Rotherham. We had Kieran Dunn when we were playing in League One. And he's still a League One player who's not amazing, but he's going to cost us £7 million. And that's about as good as the players get. This is just sorted by value, by the way. It's about as good as the players get. We've got Ryan One, who's 29. Like, is he a genuine upgrade for 20 million? It's tough out here. It might get better when the tick over comes through, I'm hoping. Craig Dunn is the one I looked at. He's a speedy centre-back. I might try to bring him in. And maybe if we go by world rep, maybe there's someone here that we could, maybe Calvin Ramsey, but I don't think he's even better necessarily than Ryan Robertson, who was our youth player that we brought through. Let's actually compare them. I think Robertson's better defending mentals aerially. Maybe the physicals, I mean, not even the physicals on Calvin Ramsey. Speed-wise, definitely not as good. But yeah, maybe one to consider. He's actually got a bit of reputation that might help as well. But this is what I'm up against. I did want to give you a bit of a flavour of what I'm looking at and how I'm trying to find players, kind of just by scouting a lot of people, look, until we find one that looks good. And these best ones here, David Gray could be one for the future, only 23, but a big value. So we need to make sure we have the money to spend on him. But he's a Scottish international that is interested in coming. If I actually show you the players that aren't interested, there are some really good players on here. This guy, definitely one to dream of in the future. But I think he'll be too old by the time we can afford him. He's valued at like 150 mil. So he plays for Spurs. He's never going to join. Billy Munro, another really good player. Amazing mentals on him. But he's 28 now, so the likelihood of us ever getting him, probably quite slim, isn't it? Either way, I'm going to go and get ourselves ready for season 2 in the Premier League and hope that next year we don't just have a good half of a season, but maybe a good full season and be comfortable in the league. Let's go and build for it. Oh, actually, big update before I've even done any transfer business yet. I've gone to the 16th of June, so about a month on from just before. We've moved stadium. We are now playing at Newcastle's St James's Park. And you might be like, what's happened to the Braveheart? They're extending it. They're expanding it, I should say. They are adding an extra 9,000 seats to the Braveheart Arena. It will be finished in April of this season. So not actually that long either. And the Braveheart becomes a 23,000 seater. In the meantime, we get to play in Newcastle, which is quite fun. It's actually a really big update, isn't it, as well? And whilst I'm here, I need to also tell you that we are now officially a legend at the club. All it took was to keep us in the Premier League, and we are now a legend. We've overtaken Joe Bevan, who's still only a mere icon, which is a bit sad, actually. Carl Whelan, by the way, also got himself into favour personnel. He's played 99 games for us. He has been very good, actually, since we signed him for 165k to score 8 goals in the Premier League. Fair play, Carl Whelan. I'm going to go and continue with my building towards this next season now, do a bit more transfer business. Welcome back after a really big transfer window then. It's the 10th of August, and in these last couple of weeks, I've signed 3 players. The first of which, do you know what? We need to start with the big one. I've spent £35 million on a player. It's our record transfer ever, and it is a huge risk. I'm going to hold my hands up and say and admit that this is a risk, but I'll try and explain my full thought process for this one. James Crawford, I think you're going to look at and say he's not a £35 million player, and I think I agree with you. However, I think it's a necessary risk. He's a Scottish international. He's only 20, and he's going to get better. And I think he might turn into the best player that we've ever had, but we need to nurture him to get there. He has potential to, I think, be a top Premier League player, potentially Premier Division standard here. Look, the scouts seem to love him. And I think he's got the starting point at 20 to go on to be really good. He's also already being capped by Scotland, which tells me I think he's quite good. And his value was really high. He came from Everton. He'd been on loan at Wrexham last year. Like I said, I don't think he's ready, but he is going to be better than anybody that we could buy ready-made. So I think it's worth investing the money. And we do have lots of money, to be fair. £45 million still in our balance after spending this much. Our projection says it's only going to continue to go up as well. So we've got the money to go and speculate with. I've gone and speculated with James Crawford, who I'm going to train to be one of our defensive midfielders and hopefully our future captain and future player that becomes a club legend. Again, it's a risk. I know it's a risk, but it's one that I think we have to take based on the level of player that I can go and attract to come and join us. Now, I've brought in 2 other players. One is Stephen Parker. Doesn't improve us because he was actually here already last year. We've had 3 loans of him. He's now joined permanently for £7 million. We know he's good, but that doesn't actually make us better than last year, does it? It just means that he's here permanently. And then finally, we've signed Billy Gilmore on a freeze, on massive wages. He is the biggest reputation player we could bring in. He's a Scotland legend. Is he actually a legend? He played 135 times. Is he actually listed as a legend? Can I see that on here? If I go general, does it say legends? Is he one of them? He is. He's actually listed, look, as a Scotland legend alongside Ali McCoist and Graham Souness and Kenny Dalglish. So in a save like this, even being able to get him in for a season, I think is worth it. Oh, by the way, just to show you with Scotland, I did apply for the job. They've given it to David Hopkin, who I think I'm better than, but I don't have the pro license, which is what I think held us back. I had to go and speak to the board and everything about the fact that I would manage both teams, and they were a bit worried about it. I didn't get the job anyway. In fact, the job didn't ever actually become available. I declared interest in it, and in the end, they've gone for David Hopkin. I'm going to have to try and wait it out after Arthur George resigned, and they went with David Hopkins. It was at the start of this summer after Lopetegui before that. The quest to become Scotland manager goes on, and our best players, our favourite players like Joe Bevan, is now 32. We're going to miss it, aren't we? We're not going to get him that Scotland cap. 2036, there will be an international tournament if it becomes available. 2038 might be pushing it. Usually it's after the international competitions where they sack managers, isn't it? I really want to get Joe Joe Bevan an international cap. Same with Christy Montgomery. Same with, I mean, to be fair, same for Robertson. Same for Ethan Henderson as well. There's Ethan Henderson, by the way. Anyway, that's an aside. We have brought in Billy Gilmore on massive wages. The wages, by the way, I've done a bit of a thing. We've had to go quite big because we are now a Premier League team. So big wages in there. It's a massive increase from what it was in the Championship. But basically every player wanted a massive increase. So instead of giving them a big increase and then in a year or two having to give them another one, I've tried to tie players down for a long time. You'll notice that I have all of these players are locked down for 4 years plus. If I highlight them, these guys are here for 4 years plus, from Kieran Slicker onwards. And most of them, if I show you one of the newer ones, most of them have a plus 3 years extension in there as well. So I've given them 7-year contracts to all intents and purposes. So hopefully this means that if we do lose a player, it's for a transfer fee rather than for losing them on a free. There are a few that I will need to think about for next season. There are a couple that are 2 years away, but nobody's contract is expiring at the end of this season, which is a nice place to be in. And I could maybe try and bring in some transfer funds that way, because this year I wasn't able to do so. The only incomings are loan wages being paid. I've loaned out Luke Ireland to Rotherham they're back in the Championship now? They are back in the Championship now. And Chris Caddis, who's gone to Southend on loan. Two of the youngsters that I did bring in to try and develop to turn into good footballers. Overall, I think we're much more prepared for Premier League football. I think we have a really settled side. It's just a case of whether we can get the best out of these players and whether I panic and start changing up the system and going defensive and things like that, which is, I kind of hope I don't have to do this year. Let's just have a lovely season where we are not at a threat of being relegated. We can just stay in the league, maybe even push towards, can we dream of mid-table? That would be nice, wouldn't it? Either way, that's what I'm going to go and try and do now. Let's go until about January and find out how this second season is going to go in the Prem. Oh, quick update before I do get to January. I'm back a little bit early because on the 13th of October here, there's been some movement with a few transfers. The first thing is that we received this bid, £20 million for our goalkeeper, Callum McKenna. Now, he is fantastic, but 20 million for a 29-year-old, I've decided I couldn't say no to that. So I sort of accepted it, then transfer listed him to make sure that he did go. He was probably going to go anyway because it's to Al Jazeera in the United Arab Emirates, which is a fun move for him. But that money coming in gave me an opportunity to try and invest in the future. First thing that I had to do was to replace him in goal. So welcome back to the club, Adam Lord Farquad Farquhar. He joins on the 1st of Jan when Callum McKenna goes out. I've sold him for £1 million. We are signing him back for £1.8 million. So I wasn't expecting to see him back at the club, but here he comes. We know that he's good enough because he was good when we had him before. But I'm very excited about this one. I've used the money, some of the remaining money anyway, to sign Ian Burgess from Liverpool. Now, he is a Scottish international. I'm doing most of my scouting by looking at the Scotland team and just signing as many of the players as I possibly can that I think are good and young. Ian Burgess is a starting player in the Scotland team, and he's 20. And he's willing to join from Liverpool, which tells me I think we might be getting a good player here. Our scout report's expired here, but he's got really good pace and acceleration. He's got decent dribbling, really good crossing as well, and good determination. And he's only 20. And he's only costing us like 8 million all in. And he joins on the 1st of January. I'm very excited about this one. I'm kind of hoping that him alongside James Crawford at 21 and Luke Ireland at 19 and a few of the other lads that we brought in that are young, if we can develop them into real quality first team footballers, that might be the way that we make the next step. The next step trying to get to those European places, because that's going to be really tricky. We've made an okay start to the season. 8 games in, 9 points. We've won 3, lost 5. So it's okay. We've got 3 good wins on the board, but we are still losing a lot of games. I think I'm going to have to be quite tactical about making that next jump, because the players that we've got they're just not quite good enough to consistently win us games. They might win a game here and there, but we might also lose 6-0 to Spurs, for example. 6-3 win against Forest was nice. 3-0 win against Brentford, very nice. Joe Bevan with 2 in that one, by the way. He also scored a goal in this game where we lost 3-2 against Liverpool. But I wanted to come back a bit early to tell you that news. I think it's good business. I'm going to go to the end of Jan now, because I've given you a bit of an update here. And then hopefully we're still solidly in the Premier League. So I'll see you at the end of Jan. Okay, welcome back. It's the 2nd of February, 2037. We are 14th in the league. I think we're going to be fine. We're not in as much of a mess as we were last year, but we are not winning that many games. The good thing is, every now and then we are winning a game, and it's keeping us above this horrible red section of the league table here. We've got 24 points after 25 games, a horrible negative goal difference, because when we lose a game, we really lose a game. We lost 5-1. We lost 5-0 to City, but then beat Forest 5-1. That's just who we are, mate. To quote a great manager in Ange Postecoglou there. It's rough. I will admit it is rough. However, I think we'll be okay, and I do really think we've got some good players in. So Ian Burgess joined. This is him, look. I think we've got a really good... He's an actual wonder kid. He might be the first one that we've had that is literally media description of wonder kid that we've ever had. He comes in. We just need to hold on to him now. He does have a minimum fee release of 17 million, but it does run out in September of next year. So we don't have too long to get through for this to hopefully not be triggered, but we will see. Also, we cannot get relegated because he will go on a free, which I've had to put in a lot of the contracts to be completely transparent, which is scary. We also signed Craig Maitland, another youngster. I'm going to spend most of my money, I think, on youngsters like this. This guy, apparently he's got a good potential. He's an okay left-back option, and he's only 18. He's an under-21 international for Scotland. Hopefully it just helps. There's the confirmed outgoing of Callum McKenna, who they've put on 70k a week, look, in the United Arab Emirates. But that's an update. I'm going to go to the end of the season now. Oh, one last thing before we do. We have got our youth intake. It's an excellent intake, a golden generation. I'm a little bit skeptical because we've only got a B and 2 Cs. But have a look at this. But our training facilities and youth facilities are all on the move. They are improving. And I've asked for them. Look, you can see how many things I'm constantly asking for. They've just recently rejected the youth facilities, but I am slowly but surely improving everything, including our staff, by the way. Getting there. Nearly the best staff in the league. I just need a few more scouts, really, and a couple more. Maybe a really good goalkeeping coach takes this, pushes us over the line here. We would see. But I am, just to give you all of the insight, I'm doing as much as I possibly can to improve things. Attendances, by the way, they're not actually that amazing. We played Arsenal at home here, so at St James's Park. We're getting about 25,000, which I wonder if we get 25,000 because that's what our new stadium is going to go to. It's going to go to 23,800. So I wonder if it keeps the attendances sort of in line with where your stadium would be. And technically our stadium is this one now. I don't know. That's just a theory of mine, but we're getting about 25k in the Prem. It's good, but it's foundations, isn't it? This is all about the foundations. Now I need to go until the end of the season and see if we can stay up. I'll also keep an eye on this intake, which apparently is a golden generation, but I don't think it's going to be. I'll see you in like May at the end of the season, I think. We nearly got relegated. I was way too complacent, and if we hadn't beaten West Brom on the final day, if we'd lost to them, we would have been relegated here. Luckily, I say luckily, we beat them quite comprehensively in the end. It was a 3-1 win. Back post header there from Burgess, that youngster, that wonder kid that we brought in, by the way. 2-0 up. They then got a goal back. By the way, one of their strikers is called Jordan Ross, and this guy here, and he is a Scottish international, so keep an eye on him. We did get the win there, Hawkshaw with the header. A 3-1 win for us. We cut it a little bit closer. Here he is, by the way, Jordan Ross. I want to keep an eye on because he looks quite good. He's 28, though, so I don't know if he's one that we'll buy, but keep an eye on him anyway. Because they're getting relegated. Maybe there's a relegation clause there. Either way, that's an aside, though, because this game was so important. I'd say we were lucky. We completely smashed them and dominated them. But if we didn't win that game, we really would have been in trouble. They finished bottom, but if we lost to them, we would be on 35 points and we would be relegated. That's how close it came after a horrible end to the season. 3 losses before that final game. We lost 7-1 to Arsenal. We lost 3-0 to Manchester United. I mean, those are tough games, aren't they? Arsenal, by the way, a really weird team. They finished 7th and their manager is Darius Vassell. He is a caretaker manager, but that's just ridiculous anyway, isn't it? Also, what is Darius Vassell's photo there? Surely you could have taken a better photo of him. Or Darius. Anyway, we did stay up. It was just by the skin of our teeth. Luckily, our final game was against rock bottom of the league, West Brom, and we could dominate them and beat them. It's It was a little bit too touch and go for my liking. However, here's the squad. Here are the stats from some of our players. Our top goal scorer, by the way, Ethan Henderson. Our boy, Ethan Henderson, he's upset about the lack of goalkeeping depth at the moment, which is fair enough, to be honest, because we don't really... I mean, Jordan O'Ware's our backup goalkeeper, and he came through our intake a few years ago. He's not great. But he was our top goal scorer with 14 goals. Lots of appearances for Joe Bevan. He got 6 goals. He's been sort of replaced a little bit since Burgess came in. Burgess, our youngster, who is... I mean, I was going to say he's improving, but it looks like he's got down arrows, but I think he will improve. Hopefully he does anyway. We were able to integrate James Crawford. He has picked up an injury recently, but this guy, the guy that I invested all of that 35 million in, is definitely improving as a player. Even just by looking at his profile, I think you can see his attributes are moving in the right direction. Perfectionist personality as well. I have high hopes that he's going to prove me correct with the money that I've invested in him. We've been given a £53 million transfer budget and a very healthy wage budget for next year. We're still in the Premier League, we have also moved back to the now expanded Braveheart Arena. 23,800 fans can now fit in there. I think I'm ready to try and go big again in the transfer market. I think now is the time. Now that we've got 60 million in the bank, now that our projection looks healthy, now that we've got 1 or 2 good young players, now is it the time to move out players like Christy Montgomery and Joe Bevan and maybe even Ryan Robertson at right back? Now might be the time to go big in the market and try and push towards a top half finish, maybe even European places. I might be getting ahead of myself because we nearly got relegated there, but we didn't, and now we've got money to spend. So I'm going to go and do our season 15 transfer window. My word, what story we're telling here. This will be the last season of today's video. I guess we're going to have another part after this one, aren't we? Let's go and do some transfer business. Okay, so I've gone big again. As I said I was going to, this is the time, I think, to invest. So I've invested another £52 million into this squad. We've sold players for 3.8 million, but that's sort of not really the point here. David Crawford for 3.8 mil was one of our sales. He was one of the youngsters that I brought in from Celtic on a free. He's gone to West Brom for 3.8 mil. We've got some future incentives on there if he does well, but he sort of, I don't think he was ever going to make it anyway. I've also loaned out a couple of players here too. But let's start with the incomings. I want to start with these 2 here because you might be like, oh my word, is that £8.5 million on a loan? Probably not is the answer to this. There is a load of, if he does certain things, we will pay them lots of money. And then if we want to, we can pay 40 million to keep Reece McKinnon. Now, the reason that I've loaned him is that he's not interested in joining us. So I've decided to loan him and pay some fees to try and get him to come, because if we sign him, I think he's going to be really amazing in the future. He's a Manchester City new gen with loads of potential, apparently. He's already quite good. He's only 17 and he's already in the under-21s for Scotland. He's kind of a similar story to Crawford in our midfield, that if we can get him and keep him, he could be so important. We probably won't end up paying this 8 million that it says it's going to cost, because it's only if we play him a certain number of games and things like that. So I don't think we'll pay 8.5 million pounds for him. It might end up being like 2 million, probably, but we will see. If we keep him, it will end up costing us 40 mil odd. Similar story with Paul Clark, who is a midfielder, but he's coming from Manchester United. Same sort of story, he's 17. And then if we want to keep him, we can pay 20 million if he turns around and says that he's interested. Because right now, if I ask his agent, no interest whatsoever in joining, only on loan. So it's a bit of a risk where we've got money, and if I didn't take this risk and I didn't spend this money, we'd never sign a player like this. So I think it's worth doing just to kind of see, even if it ends up being a waste of money eventually, which it probably will be. Let's be honest here. The other signings in though, Gary Layton for £6.75 million. He is a very good Premier League level midfielder, Scottish international as well. He's going to sit maybe in front of our defence here, but could also cover at left back and right back, which is quite useful. Maybe even centre back if we need him to as well. Nicky Johnston, gone quite big on him. He is another Scottish international. If I go to the Scotland team now, go to the senior squad, I show you, I sort this by club. We've got 4 players who are in the Scottish national team, even though all of them are on the bench at the moment. But this is a big improvement from where it was a few years ago. It's even great to see that we've got a 22-year-old and a 21-year-old in there as well. 26 as well can still improve, Jordan Doherty, and he scored goals for us last year. So we're building, we're trying to improve. I've also gone for Craig Dunn at £9.5 million. Pacey centre-back. He's going to make us a lot better too. David Gray, finally, £15 million on this guy. He's only 24. He has had caps for Scotland too, so you'd hope that he'd get himself back into the team. Just really quick, and we know how important physical attributes can be. I think he will need to improve a bit in other, especially his mentals, to be honest. But overall, I'm hoping that he can be useful for us. This squad is definitely better for having them in. We are still very much predicted to finish bottom. It's still 2,000 to 1. It's who knows what's going to happen. I'm aiming personally for mid-table because I've made a change. I've decided I'm going to no longer force players like Ryan Robertson into the team, even though I think he's solid enough and he's played 422 times for us, came through our youth intake. I'm going to go with a bit more quality in Gary Layton instead. Similar story for in midfield. No longer will Christy Montgomery be starting in midfield. Instead, Crawford and Billy Gilmore. Up front, on the right-hand side, I'm going to start David Gray instead of Joe Bevan. Now, it hurts me to say that, but I just think now might be the time to be a little bit more serious, because I thought maybe we'd get away with trying to finish mid-table with those players in, as we've done throughout the whole save, but we nearly got relegated last year, so I think I need to be a bit serious with this. So that's kind of where we're looking. It's going to be Doherty and Johnston up front, Burgess from the left-hand side. That might change. We might go with Henderson. Out of all of our new gen players, Henderson would be the one that has the quality to play. Like, he's only 26 as well. He's not far away from being good enough, and he has scored a lot of goals for us. He got 9 last year, even though he only started, well, it's 26 starts, so it's still pretty good. I want to show you, actually, whilst we're here, I just want to show you the best 11. I think I mentioned it before. This is our overall best 11. There are players in here. Ryan Robertson, 477 games. Christy Montgomery, 531 games now. Joe Bevan, actually highest appearance maker, 536 games. He doesn't have as many games in the league, though, as Christy Montgomery, who is still our record league appearance maker with 492. We need to get him to 500. This year, tell you what I'm going to do. This year, I'm going to get him to 500, and then I might just never play him again, to be honest. I also need to get Joe Bevan to 100. I need to get him to 200 goals, don't I? League goals as well. That might need to be the plan here. Another thing as well, by the way, I am still trying to get the Scotland job, but they just won't give it to me. I am, though, finally still making lots of improvements. Our training facilities are 3.5. 3.5 star reputation. I think that's the same as last year, but that is fairly solid. If we can get into continental competition, honestly, the players that you speak to, if I just go to my list here, players that are not interested. Let's go to like a player like Fraser McCart. I don't know if he's interested now, but no, he says we need to, oh, he's just signed a new contract. Basically, lots of the players that I'm talking to that I would like to try and sign say that I need to be in a continental competition before they'd even consider it. So that's my next aim. Can we get ourselves into the European spots? Obviously, that's easier said than done, isn't it? But that's what we're going to go and try and do. Let's go and get ourselves into this season. We're taking things seriously. Can we finish mid-table, please? Okay, it's the end of January and we sort of are mid-table. My wishes have kind of been granted here. After 23 games, we've got 29 points and we are 11th. We are fairly clear of 18th, which has 19 points. It's Burnley. I'm not going to count any chickens right now because we've been in this position before, haven't we? And then we ended up going on an absolute slide for the final few weeks of the season. So I'm hoping we get to this 40-point mark and then can just be mid-table. I'm not asking to get into these European spots this year. Although, yeah, we're not going to get there, are we? We are 11 points off 7th. Just a happy mid-table spot and I'd be happy, I think. The results have looked like this. So from the start of the season, we lost our first game against West Ham. It's sporadic wins, puncturing. It's sporadic wins after lots of losses, really. Similar story to last year, but the wins have been a little bit more frequent in their arrival. 1-0 win against Aston Villa. We lost 6-2 to City. We beat Burnley 3-2. December has been a really good month for us. We won 4 Premier League games in a month, which might be our in fact, we only lost one game in Jan. In fact, we only lost one in that December as well. So that might be our best ever month in the Premier League. January was not as good. We only won one game in this one, although we did beat Blackburn recently. Goals from Burgess. Look, a couple of goals here. I'll show you the stats of the players. Overall, there's not loads to shout about. It's a very mid-table season. Goals from Ian Burgess has got 10 goals. 7 goals from Doherty, 6 from Johnston. No goals yet from Henderson. I need to play him. He's now unhappy at lack of football. I know that I said I was going to mix things up. I have managed to put people's expected game time down, although Ethan Henderson, even though he's expecting to be an impact sub, is not happy because he's only an emergency backup. So I will probably need to bring him in and play him in some football. But overall, they're doing okay. Ryan Robertson's a little bit upset as well, but that's to do with goalkeeping, lack of goalkeeping backups rather than not playing. He's played 10 games, actually. Joe Bevan has got 3 games, played 3 games. He has got his Premier League goal for the season. So don't worry. Every season of his career so far with us, he has scored. It is just the 1 goal this year, but I think this is a necessary evil. It's 2038, which means that there is it a European Championships? I think there's a Euros going on, which hopefully gives us the potential to try and take the Scotland job away from David Hopkin, and then hopefully give these guys these caps that they so desperately deserve. 33 now. I am worried that he's going to retire before we can give him his Scotland cap. The search goes on though. I don't know what else I can do except for ask for it, really. We are, though, by the way, we have got our Continental Pro license now. I have massively improved our facilities too. We're up to 4-star training facilities, 3.5-star youth recruitment, 3.5-star youth facilities. We're up to 28,000. I don't know if that was one that I showed you before, but we're up to 28,000 in capacity now as well. I'll show you on the board thing here. I've been constantly asking. It was an extra 5,000 seats. Started in May of last year and finished in November of last year. So very quickly they added some more seats there. And we've also been able to improve our youth facilities, training facilities. We are improving our youth facilities again here, although it says rejected, even though it says in progress there. Maybe I asked twice. And obviously they only accepted once. Our balance is fine at 20 million. Not quite as high, and our projection does say it's going to go back down. But I feel like I have invested in really good young players that are getting better. Case in point, James Crawford, definitely improving. He's got 16 passing in our midfield. Great first touch, really good decisions. If his physicals can improve a little bit, we've got a really serious footballer here. And he's only 22. He looks great, making good progress. And Ian Burgess as well, really good progress on him. These might be our ticket to finishing in the European places. We just need to develop them. Oh, a bit of an update as well. The loan that we made of Reece McKinnon, he got recalled in January by Man City, and they've sent him on loan to Bolton. It does mean that we only ended up paying 4.2 million, but it may have ended up being a bit of a... In fact, I'm not even sure it is. Monthly cost is there. Loan cost so far is 2.7 million. And it says 4.2. Maybe that includes the wages as well. But either way, he came in, scored 8 goals for us in 18 games. Was really good. He's going to be a superstar. Maybe we'll see him again in the future once he's developed a bit. But right now, we couldn't sign him. Paul Clark is still here, massively improving. Is a bit upset that we're not playing him enough. So I might need to play him more so that he's happy, so that we can try and buy him. It'll be something to keep an eye on, I think. Right now, though, it's time to go to the end of the season and pray that things don't go really badly like they have done previously. Mid-table finish again, please. That will be fine. I'll see you in May. Okay, welcome to the end of season 15 in this save. This save has completely taken over my life for the past week or so. And I've spent basically all of today playing this, recording this, to get to the end of season number 15. And finally, I can say we're a mid-table Premier League team. We lost our last game against Spurs, but ignore that. 38 games, 13 wins. There are the results. 7 losses, 18 losses. 7 draws, sorry, 18 losses against most of the big boys, to be honest. We lost to Chelsea, Arsenal, United, City, Liverpool, and Spurs in there. Like, it's fine. We finished 10th. We are a long way off those European spots. But overall now, we are a mid-table team. I don't know if this is even going to change our reputation, because I think we might need to get to Europe to really push this on to Continental, and then I think it opens a lot of doors. However, have a look at the state of the club now. From where we started 5 seasons ago at the start of today's video, our facilities, recruitment, youth facilities have all massively improved. Our reputation probably has improved since the start of the Save 2. Our ground, we're now at the Braveheart. It's now up to 28,000 in there. We're a club legend. We've made massive strides forward. We've got players like Ian Burgess listed as our key player, who's now 21, going to become a really, really good Premier League player, I think. Players like Crawford in our midfield, this guy who's becoming a really good footballer too. The future is really bright, but I think the future might still be slower progress than I might hope for. However, this is where we're going to end it for today. Season 15, we're a mid-table Premier League team. One more final push, 5 more seasons. Can we win a Premier League or a Champions League? Because that's when we feel like we've finished this, when we've completed this. Thank you so much for watching today. If you've enjoyed today's video, please leave a like on the video. And do you know what? If you've got to the end, you can choose an emoji. Just stick it into the comments down below, because I'm actually exhausted. But I love this. I really hope you're enjoying it too. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you in the next video. Let's try and finish this off. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.